And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me, I have my good friend Tamika with me. We're going to be reviewing the couple of episodes from Black Mirror. We're not going to discuss like the whole entire season, but we're just going to talk about the episodes that stood out to us. And there's actually a couple of episodes, maybe like two episodes that we're going to discuss each. So yeah, let's go on ahead. Let's dive into this. I'm excited to have Tamika here talking about Black Mirror season 6. So let's do it. Hey, Tamika.
Just like Alex thing. He was like,
It's not, you know, okay.
why are we
How are you
blown
doing
up
tonight?
like this? Oh, I'm good. I'm just trying to figure out why the camera is blown up like this.
Like what?
Like like this. Like
This is how I do my
HD.
show.
You
This
see my
is how I,
pimples? Jeez.
hey,
Oh,
this is how I do my shows now. Okay,
oh
this is how
my
I do it.
god. Okay,
Is to
fine,
be up
whatever.
close and personal with the subscribers.
Oh.
You're like, okay, I didn't sign up for this. I'll tell you what she did sign up for.
What did
Guess
I
what? You
sign
guys
up
actually
for?
signed up for us to be able to review Black Mirror season 6,
Yes.
and we're just like I said, we're just talking about a couple of episodes that stood out to us. But if
Yes.
you want to comment in the comment section of this, even after the live feed is actually gone, tell us some of your favorite scenes or favorite episodes from Black Mirror season 6. But yeah, so I just want to say thank you so much for introducing me to this show
Oh,
because I didn't know it was an anthology show, so therefore I didn't have to go ahead and watch from season 1 or anything. So therefore I went straight into season 6.
I thought you knew about this show.
I knew about it, but I didn't know it was an
Yeah.
anthology series.
What? Oh, can I show Mickey Mouse or is that like something that gotta be blurred out? It's on my
No, you
shirt.
don't have to.
Okay, good.
You're good.
Oh my god, okay. Corporate mouse. But yeah, it's it's a good show. I stumbled upon Black Mirror. Just you know how Netflix said you may like this. So the first season was bananas, and I was like, "Ooh, they can get away with that," but it's British, so they got darker humor than we do.
Right.
But yeah, and then it just kept progressing on, and some episodes throughout the anthologies aren't that great, and some are. It's just hit or miss. But I think season 6 is one of the best ones.
I can definitely see why. And the one of the episodes that actually stood out to me was the Salma Hayek episode, which is basically one of my favorite ones. Is I think it's actually
Uh,
called Joan is awful.
yes, she is.
She is definitely an awful person. She's
She
actually
is a
an
bit.
administrator who,
Oh, I mean administrator.
but yeah, Jane is such an awful person. So the episode follows Joan, a manager at a media company who seems to live a pretty ordinary life. She has a boyfriend, Krish. She has to deal with the unpleasantness of letting her coworkers go and struggles with her lingering feelings for her ex-boyfriend Mac.
Hmm.
And of course, after meeting with Mac and sharing a kiss with him, Joan returns home to Krish, where they sit and eat his bland dinner, and then they cuddle up on the couch to watch something on Strawberry, which is the universe equivalent to of a Netflix, if you will.
Hmm.
So, what did you think of the meta in this and them dealing in with the fact of how we watch streaming services? And I really feel like it hit home with me. Is like we always do this. We go out, we live our lives, we come home, we're like, okay, well, so what are we gonna watch just to chill and relax?
Hmm.
And it's very much of us watching how we react to how they choose their programming.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first off, I'm being domesticated, so I have washing. I'm washing dishes, and now I'm doing laundry. So forgive the noise, but I thought it was very creepy because, like I said, everything she did that day is depicted in this meta show. So it's like, she like secretly see her ex-boyfriend, and she's like, hey, let's kiss. Oh, don't tell my boyfriend. And then bam, it's right there on TV. And not only that, everybody sees it. Her friends, a coworker, everybody tweeting and all this other stuff. And it's just really freaky how like the terms of the contract, it's like you can't wiggle yourself out of it or sue because it doubles up on fears with AI, because AI is generating this meta show.
Right,
And then
and right.
what do you call that? Deep
Deep
fakes? What
baking.
is that? Yeah, it did that with Salma Hayek's face. It's just really creepy. This was the creepiest episode, I'm telling you.
But it also, if you think about it in the context of what we went through in the last several months with the writer's strike and things like that, it really hits home and is very scary of how close this show actually hits you, because this came out in June. Then within a couple of months later, we had the strike, and it's dealing with AI. It's dealing with everything listed within the contract itself. Whenever you look at it from what an actress would sign on paper and what they can and can't do, and basically they have control over your life. They have control over everything you do, and there's nothing that you can do about it because you signed the contract.
Yes.
Yes,
but I like the fact that they both were victims.
right.
Like it's weird to call her the audience member. The fan, the audience member, whoever, they're a victim, but also the actor is a victim because they're taking her identity. So there's double identities that are being taken and displayed on screen, and it's an invasion of privacy. And I'm just so surprised that the contract has so much. It's so airtight that there is no wiggle room to sue them. You can't get it off of the streaming services. It's just out there.
Right, and that's exactly how I feel about it, though. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I do want to piggyback off what you said in a minute about how we, as a viewer, how we're actually victims to how we view things. I'm going to jump on that in a minute, but I do want to talk about some of the other characters in this show, though, too, because Joan also lets go of her secretary.
Mm-hmm.
Not secretary, but someone that's an employee over in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And then the secretary is also analyzing his own self, because remember, he goes, I'm not that gay, am I? And the boyfriend is looking at him, no, I don't think you are. Just, I can't be that over the top. Because he's watching himself as anybody else who's just a viewer. It's like, am I really doing what this show is saying that I'm doing without me knowing that I'm doing what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also that other part where Joan accidentally drops something on the worker's head as well. And yeah, it was like a secret ash, not a secret ash, but a cigarette ash. But I think it was like her. What's like a electronic cigarette? I think.
Oh, vape pen.
Yeah, vape pen.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so I want to talk about this, about how we as a viewer would watch this and how we fall victim to this, because we're not realizing that we're also invading these people's lives. We're thinking that we're actually watching a show that is a fictional show and have no clue of what we're watching at the very first of it. But then if you keep watching it and watching every single episode, and you're knowing that you're watching a show based on somebody else's life, like we're invading that person's privacy.
Yeah. And I mean, it is hilarious at first, right? You're like, oh my gosh, yeah, she awful. But then, you go to the corporation, or what is it called? Sprayberry?
Strawberry.
Yeah, that one. You go to the corporation and you see they have everyone's, like John is awful, Tamika's awful. They have everyone's series, and you wonder. I mean, she did ask her lawyer. She was like, "Well, how do they do this?" And they was like, "Oh, your phone. When you have your phone out, it picks up on conversations." I'm not sure about how they can depict exactly where she is and what she's doing. Maybe she had like a camera.
Location's on. Don't forget, phones can also have the location on.
Well, yeah, it's like they could see what she was doing too. So I wondered, did she have a camera somewhere in her house, or that part was interesting.
That part was very interesting to me, especially when they break it down. It's like, look, you cannot, because of these standards, because of the contract that you signed,
Mm-hmm.
you're not able to do anything. So that means that we can do anything we want you to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we can also put your face on anybody. So Salma Hayek's face will be on anything that Joan does. So
Yeah.
when she learns that, she goes on ahead and decides to basically make herself a little laxative drink, hamburger, and just have like instant diarrhea. Just invades this one person's wedding and just takes a dump in the wedding.
Yeah, in the church. Don't get in the church, and she wrote a dick on her forehead, and Salma Hayek, the AI Salma Hayek, had to do the same thing. And Salma Hayek, like, what the fuck? I'm Catholic. My grandma's gonna see this, and you start to see the ramifications too.
Right. My favorite line that Joan says just Salma Hayek is not gonna like this.
No,
That's
she
my
is
favorite.
not. Mm-mm. She is
Then
not.
Selma goes over to Joan's house. Just what the hell are you doing? You just basically embarrassed my whole entire Catholic heritage and my beliefs and everything. What are you doing? Just, well, Strawberry won't let me out of the contract, so I figured the only way to get your attention, maybe they could do something since they can't do anything to me, because basically I'm just a normal person compared to you. You have a more of a higher standard, so maybe they might actually listen to you. But same thing. Salma goes over to the Strawberry Corporation. Strawberry Corporation tells her, no, look at the bylaws, look at everything you signed. There's nothing we can do. We can make you do anything we want you to do. And so, therefore, we're back down to square one. So then they decide to go ahead and break into the Strawberry headquarters where the big corporation is actually streaming everything. And during this time, you also have a deal going down with another actress.
Yes.
And, I thought that was a pretty interesting thing that you have that going on. And then like, well, what we're going to do? We're just going to go on in and destroy the whole entire network. And then guess what? There's nothing for the people to stream. It's dead.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm just gonna unplug this whole thing, but it was that's where it got a little too trippy for me, because I thought I was following her. She's like, no, this is the actress. You're playing the person. The real person is in the real world, and it was like a meta world within a meta world within a meta world, and I was like, okay, that's where they kind of lost me a little bit. I was like, whoa. And I was like, well, who is this normal person? Like, is this like a actual real person, or is she like an indie actress? Got kind of lost.
But it definitely does lose you within the meta stuff, though, too, because I even had to do a double take after the blinders are taking off.
Yeah.
Basically, I would think those were like filters for us after we're blinded to the fact that we are blinded to what we are watching.
Yes, and you look at something like that where it's about invasion of privacy, and since I'm rewatching the Avengers, we can tap a little bit into Civil War. That taps into the invasion of privacy, and you always go, "Oh man, I'm gonna read that contract the next time I sign up for something," but you never do. They have it right there. And you're like, oh, okay, I just want to watch my show.
Yeah, this is too long. We just want what we want, and that's it, and go about our business.
Yeah. And, oh my God, it was horrifying. Like, can you imagine if Netflix just made a show about your whole day? Even though, like,
yeah, they could be doing something about us right now. We won't even know about it until tomorrow.
Oh, geez, embarrassing stuff you do and stuff you say about people. It's like, oh my God. Even the things you text.
Like, the other thing, though, too, is when Joan tells, whenever Joan is over there seeing her psychiatrist, she also mentions Kish, and basically she talks about how bland his food is, about how she doesn't want to eat it, and how her ex had better taste in food. And sex. Better at sex, too. Forgot about that one. But, yeah, then you get to that part. It's like, okay, well, you know what? This show's not interested in it. Then she's over there with her boyfriend. And she's like, you know what? This show's no longer interested for me. So let's go ahead and change it. And the boyfriend's like, no. Let's go see what's gonna happen next. She goes, no, I don't want to see what's gonna happen next.
And she couldn't unplug the TV. See, that's why you don't get a TV that's on your wall. You know, the wall TVs. She couldn't unplug it. You know, you don't want people to see your embarrassing stuff. But I kind of felt bad for her boyfriend. It's like, oh, I have to see this, and then everybody has to see you cheating on me, basically. And then her ex, who is the dick, he's gonna have sex with her in the middle of it. He's like, oh, I can't get it up. Like, you know, everybody's gonna be watching this. I didn't sign up to be a public figure. You're already in
And
the
of course,
bed.
Salma Hayek is going to complain because he can't get it up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he thinks about. Oh, man, Salma Hayek is going to complain.
But I definitely liked where the story was going. And it definitely was intriguing to see something like this, especially something in today's age, something that we're actually playing around with right now with AI and seeing what AI can do and how dangerous it can be whenever you're a network trying to control the narrative of what actors do and how they don't want to pay them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that and even the AI related to us, you know, like those little apps you can get where they turn you into a cartoon. And you sometimes think like, okay, I'm giving this AI my image. Where is it going to put my image next on the web? It's very freaky.
It really is. If I see my image on a Pepsi billboard, I want my money.
Well, yeah, you would like it to be on that, but you know, AI is like, oh, let's make you a donkey, and you're like, I did not sign up to
well,
be
I'm already a jackass, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. AI is very creepy to me.
It really is. So let's go on ahead. Is there anything else that you want to discuss as far as this episode goes?
I want to say that I will read the terms and agreements, but I won't. And I don't understand why I won't do that.
Because we are humans. We want what we want, and we want it now. We don't care about the rules, regulations, or anything like that. We're like, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, we're being signed up to be an ad for Viagra or his or hers medicine.
Oh, goodness. Okay, we can move on. I just think about that in the corner.
That's me in the corner?
Yeah, me in the spotlight. And that's all we can say.
Losing your religion?
Yeah, that's all we can say now. Don't say nothing else. Can't pay for the rest.
Okay, got it. All right, so then, what's your other one that you have?
I know I picked Beyond the Sea. What was my other one? Did I pick Joan is Awful too?
No, you picked a different one than me, believe it or not. It's actually one that I haven't seen.
Oh, well, we shouldn't talk about that one then.
No, because because the reason why I didn't see it or anything is because I didn't have time to see the one that you chose. But I'm intrigued by what you chose, though.
I forgot what I chose.
Is Loke Henry? Oh, I did see that one.
Oh, the documentary about the true crime.
Yep, I've seen that one then. Okay, that one I did see.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about that one then.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll let you do the discussion on that. This is yours. You got the open floor right now.
So anyway, picture this.
Presley, 1912. Young flip-fencing girl.
Picture this. December 1991. No, wait, I was trying to do that Civil War joke.
Oh. I'm with you.
Anyway, the audience is like, come on, Tamika, time is money. So picture this. So it's an amateur documentary document filmmaker, and then he has his girlfriend, and he is from Ireland, I believe, or somewhere in Europe. He takes
It's in
her
Ireland.
home, Ireland. Okay, he takes her home to meet his mom because they're gonna shoot some boring documentary about an egg or something. I don't know. Anyway, the so the girlfriend finds out that his dad was involved in a
Oh, it's in Scotland. My bad.
it was Scotland. Yeah, the
And it's
girlfriend.
about an egg thief. Yeah.
Oh, egg thief. Yeah, so boring. Nobody wants to see that. His girlfriend finds out that his dad was murdered by a notorious serial killer that has been going around killing tourists and I guess killing and running away the townspeople in the tourist industry in this small Scottish fishing village type thing. So they want to do a documentary about it. I think that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, they want to do a documentary on this little small town. And at first, the guy is actually hesitant. He's like, no, don't want to do that or anything. She goes, come on, this is actually the perfect opportunity. You're in a small town. There used to be a big tourist section. It's no longer a tourist section anymore. This town has been horrified by what happened. Don't you want to put this place back on the map again? Don't you want to have tourists? This is the story here, not the egg thief. This is something that people would want to know about. This is true crime. This is everything that Strawberry would want to put out on their streaming service because people would want to hear the truth of what's going on.
And well, his girlfriend is emotionally abusive because who wants to relive a murder? My dad got murdered by a serial killer. No, let's do a documentary about it. Stop being a pussy. Okay. I was like, you need to immediately dump her because she's like, come on, don't you want to win?
See, it's easier for someone that hasn't been in it to tell somebody, let's go on ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you're not even sure if the mother would be okay with that either.
Yeah, let's bring up your tragic family past and make a documentary about it so we can win some awards. Please.
That's how I felt about it, though, too, to be honest with you. I'm like, it's one thing to be in it as a family member, to want to make a documentary to get the truth out. But it's another to try and pressure somebody into doing something that you have no involvement in. You're just a tourist, you're a visitor, visiting this country because of your boyfriend. And as someone that's visiting, you don't just go ahead and just invite yourself to do this investigation. And then she even tells him, I'm going to do this whether you want to or not. I'm going to do this by myself if I have to. I'm like, okay, this girl needs to be killed.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah, and I would have immediately told her, you can walk back to America. But he said, no, okay, we'll do it together. And she was like, yeah, you can heal. I'm like, you don't care about him healing. Come on.
It's about her getting that award. That's what it is.
Gaslighting the crap out that boy.
Right? And then you also have his friend that's also doing the same thing in a sense, but he's looking out for his friend and his best interest, though, too.
Yeah, I heard the guy in the bar was Podrick from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Well, let's see. While talking to Davis's friend, Stuart King, which is played by Daniel Portman, Paya learns that the small town has incredibly grotesque history. Stuart and Davis reveal the story of the notorious serial killer, Ian Edidor, Tom Crowhurst. I think that's how you say his name. Who made media waves in the 90s after kidnapping and slaughtering a couple of honeymooners. Dawn and Simon Chawlas, played by Beth Robb, and Adam and Scott Mooney. And basically, Davis's late father, Kenneth, who's played by Gregory Firth, was a police officer who started suspecting Eddar's involvement in the kidnapping after hearing him drunkenly mumble the couple's names at the local pub. He went to Adar's home, where he was shot in the shoulder by Adar, who was on his last killing spree, shooting his parents and then himself. The shooting led to Kenneth and the police officer breaking into Adar's home and finding the murderer's basement turned torture room, solidifying Adar's role in the kidnappings and possibly many more abductions and murders.
Mm. Yeah. So they do the documentary. they start the documentary with the hyped up friend like, oh my god, we're gonna be famous. Um, and they shoot some footage, and then they go back. Don't they go back to New York or somewhere like that?
Well, they're still inside the small town because remember they are also interviewing the mother at this point though too.
Yeah.
And my first initial thought, though, too, was because we don't know who the murderer is. So the first thing I thought of, well, what happens if this serial killer happens to be still alive? You're talking to the serial killer without even knowing that you're talking to the serial killer. And that's going to be where that serial killer is going to kill you for trying to investigate this thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's where my mind went.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, they had a bunch of tapes in their house. And she was like, oh, your dad like to tape my cop shows for me or something like that. And then I thought, oh, I don't want to see freaky parent sex tapes. That's what I thought. I didn't think anything was wrong. I just thought, oh, bro, don't look at them tapes. But she had a bunch of them because she followed this series. And I was like, okay, I didn't see nothing weird. I was like, okay, she just likes this series. It's kind of like if you like, I don't know, Battlestar Galactica, and you have a whole box set, and then you tape it from when it was on TV. You wouldn't think that's suspicious.
Right.
I don't know.
And I also thought it was like the mother being supportive to her son because the mother was really open with it. But I think it was also the fact, too, that she wanted just to come clean with it.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, I can see that in hindsight. That she wanted to be clean, come clean with it. Because are we skipping ahead, or are we just where?
We're just going to talk about it. We're just gonna we're not going to go scene by scene. This is basically just us talking.
Toward the end, I see that she like gave the tapes, and she was like, "Son, this is what happened." She wrote a note, and then she committed suicide because she had the burden of that, just being involved in that killing with her husband, which we found out is the serial killer. So he has to come to terms with his dad was really the serial killer, and his mom's a serial killer, and they were torturing these young couples, and not only torture, they had like a sex dungeon. How much therapy is he gonna need?
He's gonna need a lot of therapy. He needs some better help.
His dumb girlfriend wanted to dig up skeletons in a closet.
Well, another thing though too is like the girlfriend runs out of the house because she discovers that on the tape, and then the mother starts running after her. Now, my question is this: under or over, do you think that the mother would have killed her, or do you think that she would have let her live?
Killed her.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I thought she died a dumb way.
Yeah,
but I guess I can kind of see that because she was running out of the house, right? And then there was a river, and she was trying to cross over this river with slippery rocks, and she slipped and fell on her head. So I guess I can see how that's practical, but I was really upset. I was like, damn it, girl, you almost got out of there.
But that just goes to show you, as a tourist, you do not go into places that you don't know anything about.
Yes, or try to cross rivers in Skechers.
Right. Get you some Jordans.
Skechers shoes killed her. No grip on those rocks. See, I gotta get me some good shoes just in case people run after me. I'm like,
right. But yeah, I thought this episode was really good. I thought the twist was earned. I didn't think that anything was misplaced with this twist. I thought it was fantastic, to be honest.
Yeah, some people will probably see it as, oh, I could see it coming from a mile away. But I get so invested in these stories in the characters that I forget the clues. I'm like, I'm sure those tapes are fine. I'm sure there's nothing on them. And then it's a mask. I'm like, hey, maybe she went to Mardi Gras. Who knows? Hey.
In
But I'm
Scotland, Tamika.
like gullible I am. I'm like, she went to Mardi Gras. Oh, okay, whatever. Maybe she took a trip to Mardi Gras, got a mask, came back to Scotland. No, that was a sex killing mask. And she just had it hanging on the wall, which showed a sense of pride. So I guess she was battling guilt and pride, right? Like she got away with this for decades, her and her husband.
Right.
Old serial killers made me upset because they live their life. It's like a whole span of life they live. Then they get caught at the end, and I'm like, well, you're practically dead now, right? 70.
Yeah, I don't have many years left in prison, so
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Yeah. Take them out back.
Make them all back like old Yeller.
Sorry, it's America. Sorry.
Anyways, but yeah, this next episode
Thank
is
you.
one. You're very welcome. You see, a nice segue, right?
Thank you.
Very welcome. This is what I do. So this is our last episode that we're going to talk about. This is actually one of our favorite episodes on here, even though this episode really pissed me off at the end and wanted me to kill Josh Hartnett and make him go back into hiding again for the things he's done in this episode. But okay, so I'm just going to go into my notes real quick.
Go ahead.
So this is called Beyond the Sea, where everything goes to shit. It's an understatement that begs an explainer. So let's torture ourselves one more time and dig into the unsettling, bleak, and deeply horribly ending of Beyond the Sea. So let me give you a breakdown of this, okay? People that haven't seen it. So one fateful night, David's life is obliterated as he's forced to watch his family's murder in front of him. Well, his replica by anti-replica cultists claiming to restore the natural order. The 1969 Manson Family Corporation and semi-subtle cast as David's wife, Auden Thornton, slightly resembles the late Sharon Tate in the Shitty Chitty Bang Bang cinema outing. Places this episode in 1968, 1 year before the notorious Manson family murders. Now, this is something that I want people to remember here. There's a space odyssey kind of thing going on over here. Where these people are in space, they both need each other and to count on each other because of the fact this is a two-man operation job. So if one person dies, they're screwed. They're SOL because it's supposed to be a two-man operation. So basically, the cool thing I like about this is they have like an AI replica of themselves to where they can actually go whenever it's time for them to have a couple of days off. They'll go on ahead. They'll use their little ID cards to basically go to sleep and zone out and go back to Earth. But it's their replica. It's like a robotic AI type. And so you have the actor that played in Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul, which I think he did a fantastic job of this. And yeah, I thought I'll let you go on ahead.
No, I did say excellent.
He does a fantastic job in this. I felt every bit of this. Cliff is probably one of the nicest dude in this series that I know of.
Too nice. Yeah. Okay. Now that you're saying that, I guess I can see how this whole thing could play out like Roman Polanski. What would happen if he went to space when he found out his family got slaughtered? Yeah. I just thought about that when you were talking about the Manson murders, because at first you're like, what century or what decade is this? And then you see the Mansons and you're like, this is pretty advanced for the 60s, right? You got AI replicas, you're in space,
right.
And you come down and then you're like, hey honey, I'm home. And then it's awkward sex that you have with the replica. It's like gotta keep the wife happy. You got all that weird stuff going on. And is it Kieran McCulkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very creepy as Marilyn Manson. They don't really say who they are, but it resembles Marilyn Manson. And this whole alternative history about the Sharon Tate murders is kind of fascinating because you see it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then you see it here where Marilyn Manson and his people find this replica, and they want to be the self-righteous gods and judge this man like, oh, you're not humane because you're not even real, and you got a family that's not fair, and they're putting their punishment upon this man, and you're doing his job. That's the part that pissed
Right.
me off.
Right? Because the thing that made me mad, okay, number one, they're out in space. They're away from their families.
Yeah.
So the only time that they get to spend time with each other is whenever they go off and like, well, I'll see you next weekend. Yeah, I'll see you too. I'll see you when we're done with this. Okay. So after they get done doing whatever they're doing in their space odyssey camp that they have up in space in their space station, they go on ahead. They go to Earth with their replica, and they're just living a good life. They're being able to take care of their kids, their family, being able to just enjoy being with their family versus being up in the space station and not being able to see them. Which I thought was a cool concept because I've never seen that before, especially in the 1960s, like you said, Tamika, where I thought that was an interesting spin on it. And then you see this whole entire tragic thing that happens where basically they murder this guy's family right in front of him, and they cut the AI's body limbs to pieces and burns down his house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how do you cope with that up in space? You actually do feel for George Hartnett's character. I know I said I was pissed off at him, but I actually felt for him in that moment and stuff like that, of his suffering, of him going through this. He's depressed. He's growing out a beard. He doesn't know what to do. He goes through the whole entire physical thing, like every single montage, like we see in every single part of this episode. And, Cliff talks to his wife. He goes, man, I just feel bad for him because of everything that he endured. Is there something that we can do? And she's like, why don't you give him your card where you can come down, where he can come down and be part of your AI, and maybe that might actually give him some fresh air.
I was saying, didn't I tell you to go to the kitchen? The dumbest idea, woman. But no, he was like, oh, okay, yeah, he can use my replica. Oh, they burned his replica, by the way. So he had to just stay up there in the spaceship, and then his partner was able to go down and visit his family whenever he wanted to. And the partner was, like you were saying, the wife said, well, why don't you give him your car access so he can be your replica and just get away from the space station and space and just be here, fresh air, see
right, because they live in the woods, they live out in the country.
Yeah, and it was very depressing, like the wife said, because he hasn't, I don't know how long it's been, but he hasn't been outside in a long time. He was just up there in the space station staring at plants or whatever else he was doing. And, it started to get real sad. And then he starts to find his stride because he was a painter or an artist, right?
Artist, yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm painting. I'm an artist, whatever. And then, of course, what happened. He's like, oh, okay, I'm lonely. I'm this guy. She kind of looked like her husband, Always. And she's lonely too because her husband is up there and he has to wait for this guy to come back. And that's another dilemma because then the guy freaking out like, okay, like what if he doesn't come back and he steals my family?
Right, because that's also another thing to think about too, though, Tamika, is like, okay, so you're dealing with Aaron Paul's, which is Cliff's AI, his replica. And I just love how his the way he ends up looking at things, opposed to how he normally, you know what I'm saying? Basically,
Mhm.
he's looking through the lenses of how his friend would look at for the very first time of seeing something outside. I love that whole entire dynamic where it's him looking at this place for the very first time, even though his Ripley has been down there countless times.
Mhm.
I really love how Aaron Paul pulls this off and pulls off the personality of his friend, which is a hard thing to do. So kudos to Aaron Paul for that,
Yeah.
because that's a hard thing to do. But at first you're like, okay, my first thought was this. So what happens if they get into an argument or altercation, and the wife is thinking that it's actually Cliff and not his friend that's doing it? That's doing it.
Mhm.
And then Cliff comes out there, and next thing you know, he winds up getting slapped for something that his friend did.
Well, or worse, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I mean, he had to actually say, "It's me." I'm back. Because I guess they had this arrangement, like, okay, he'll come like Tuesday,
Right.
Wednesday, and then I'll come the rest of the days. So she was prepared and knew, hey, Tuesday, Wednesday, this is Cliff in your body. Just very strange. I don't know how she kept that together.
Me either. And even the son didn't even know how to handle it either, because
Right.
the son also got basically his friend winds up putting hands on his son, and
Mhm.
also too, like every single time he would go down, he would draw. He's been drawing this painting of the house.
Yeah.
It's like, I just gotta finish this painting, and the painting's almost done. It's like 99% of it is almost finished. Because I gotta finish up this painting, and then he makes up an excuse. Oh, I need to go down to the hardware store, because normally the wife would go on ahead and handle that, so the
Yeah.
way he could just stay there. But no, this time they actually goes all the way to the town, while Cliff is up in the space station wondering what the hell is going on.
Mm-mm. No, his first mistake. Okay, so he give him this little pass to fill the air and whatever else, right? And then he comes back and he's like, "Oh man, did you draw this, Cliff?" It's like, "Hey, did you draw this?" And the other guy's like, "Yeah, I draw from memory." And Cliff is like, "Oh, I would love to hang this in my living room." And I'm like, "No, Cliff, you don't. Why don't you just get a painting from, I don't know, Dollar General or something that looks like
Or why
your
don't
house?"
you learn how to? Why don't you learn how to draw? How
Yeah,
about
why,
that?
why don't you, because you're famous, they're famous. Why don't you just hire somebody to paint your house? And Cliff is like, "Oh, whoever the other guy is, Josh Hartnett." I'm just gonna say their real name. Josh Hartnett is like, "Yeah, I can do it." I'm like, "Okay, this is getting a little too comfortable. You're giving this man
His
too
name is
much
David.
access." David, yeah, you're giving David too much access to your life. Okay, so you could have cut it off earlier, like that first day, and he was like, "Thank you so much. This is gonna help me." And I'd be like, "You're welcome." Bam, give me my card back. No more time for you. No, he just kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. Oh, I'm helping him. No, you're not helping him. It's just making it worse. And then he's falling for your
Right.
wife. And then there's another complication there, which I do think they probably slept together because he can draw from memory, and he had a picture of her when it was getting real intense. Cliff found a picture of his wife in David's locker or whatever, and she was nude. And I'm like, she
Yeah, and
posed
his hanger.
nude.
Yeah.
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 And she's like, nothing happened. I'm like, he draws from memory. He just visualized you.
I don't think anything happened.
I think she at least posed nude.
I don't think she did that. I think he just used his imagination.
Well, how come the Cliff was upset? He would have known what his wife's
I would
body
have just been
looked like.
upset at anyone trying to draw a picture of my wife. I'm just
Well,
saying, it doesn't
yeah,
matter. It doesn't matter what the body type is or whatever, because it's in that guy's imagination of what her body would look like. So
yes,
yeah,
that's
I
true.
would be pissed off no matter if it's a different body that he imagined. The bottom line is that's my wife's facial features.
This is
That's how
true.
I would look at it. It
This
didn't
is
matter if that's her body or not. That's a picture of her.
yes, this is true.
That's how
This
I
is
would react.
very good. This is true. Yes.
I don't know if I'm getting emotional, but anyway,
Oh, okay.
That's why that's gonna piss me off even more now. But
Oh boy, it's okay. It's okay. Let it out.
right, but I joked with my wife though too. I'm like, is it cheating if it's your own replica of the body? Or she goes, she just
Yes.
looked at me like, are we having this conversation? I'm like, no, we're not.
Yes, because it's not him. It's someone else in his body. It's like somebody else's
Right.
essence. But of course, that's a whole nother philosophical argument. Like,
Right.
now it's not cheating. It's him in his body. Da, da, da.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, blah, blah.
But yeah, the bottom line is this: David is a douchebag.
Yes.
Comes
Tell
back.
what happened at the end.
He kills his wife.
Oh,
Kills. What's that? That's what happened at the end. I'm just telling you what happened to about Cliff's wife and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, David kills Cliff's wife. Oh, yeah, David. So David called him back because Cliff was spending time, the real Cliff, with his family, right? And then he got paged, and David was like, hey, something's loose on the spaceship out there. Why don't you go look? And he's out there looking. He already don't trust this man. And then the door closes, and he's just working. And then he's like, David, open the door. It's space. I can't breathe. David, what are you doing? David. He's like, hey, what's going on? He's like, where were you? I went to the bathroom. He's like, okay. And then, he goes back. And he's like, something's fishy here. And he gets in his replica. And then he sees that David has slaughtered his family. And he's like, what the bleed? And then he comes back. And David's like, boom, how you like that? Now we're both alone.
Right. And there's also blood on the wall. It's like a very gory. I'm going to be honest with you. This part was like very gory.
John's like, okay, yeah, let me get it.
But yeah, this is what winds up happening. So he winds up setting him down, and basically that's how it ends. It just ends with David and them in this messed up situation, and Clint in this messed up situation.
Yeah,
Cliff in this messed up situation. But
yeah, and it makes it seem like he killed his own family, so he can't go back down.
So he doesn't have anything to live for either now.
Yeah, and then David, the douchebag, is like, so how does it feel? I'm like, huh? Murdered my
motherfucker. How does it feel not to have anything, just like how I don't have anything?
Yeah, because you won't let me sleep with your wife and have your family. So I'm just going to take them so we both can be alone in space.
Right? And I thought to myself, at this point, I wouldn't even care about the space Odyssey. I wouldn't even care about doing the space mission. I would have killed them, and I don't care if I died or not, because now I don't have a reason to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really don't. If anybody asks what happened to David, he tripped and fell.
Yeah. I would have been like, David, something's loose out there on the spaceship.
You know what I would have done? I would have just went on ahead. After I killed him, I would have just went on ahead, opened up the latch,
and
just let him float out, and then.
Yeah. No, I want him alive when he's out there. I'm like, son's on the space lab. Like, I give it like a month, and then I come back. I'm like, son's on the space, so he forgets and get comfortable around me. I want him to pretend like I'm okay with that he murdered my family. And then I lock the hatch.
You're doing it a little bit more sadistic. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I'm like, boom, you looking for this? Like Rhodey. And I just let him float out there and put like a hole in his spacesuit.
But like I said, I thought about this for a while because these 3 episodes stuck with me.
I thought about this a little too much.
Me too. I'm like, would I have let him live through this whole entire thing after everything? Would we still work together, even though we know we need to get this operation done? Or would I have went on ahead, killed him, and then just didn't care? Just went on ahead and just ate the food I needed to eat to live for a little bit and then die.
Yeah. because he couldn't tell the authorities because I don't think they would have believed him, right?
They wouldn't have believed him because number one is his replica. And I
Yeah.
don't think and it's a government agency though too. So we don't know if this thing is even under wraps or anything either.
Hmm.
So I was thinking also too, like if he went back to Earth, his whole entire life would be ruined anyways.
Yeah.
Because even though the woman in the library knew that was a replica,
Yeah.
but still, it's like how do you know? How do you extinguish between the replica and him?
That's true. Oh, that's so terrifying.
It really is. But I definitely enjoyed the season. I thought that these 3 episodes were the standouts, and it stuck with me. These 3 episodes alone.
Mm-hmm.
But Beyond the Sea was one that stuck with me the most.
Yes, it made me very upset. Yes.
And if I ever meet George Hardet at Alcon, I'm like, why did you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, you give like a month or two. You're like, oh my God, David, let's have a party. We're together. I hear something on the spaceship. Can you go out and check? Yeah, bro. Clink.
Got this. Everything is fine. I killed his wife. It's all good.
Yeah.
My wife is dead. His wife is dead. Everything's groovy. He's fine with it. It's been 7 months since then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And David's happy. He's like, oh, somebody to share my misery with.
Misery loves company.
Yeah. I want some company. Let me slash your family. Terrible.
Oh, but anyways, that's gonna be it as far as this review goes for Black Mirror. I hope everybody enjoyed this review and everything too. Tell me what some of your favorite episodes were in the comments, even if it didn't come from season 6. Tell me what you think of the other seasons as well. And then therefore we can probably go back and rewatch them or watch them for the very first time like I am. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Smash that like button, smash that comment button below. Don't forget, we are also going to be doing our Goonies review coming up on August 6th at 8 o'clock. 6th and everything. That's going to be for the audio only podcast. So it's not going to be a live or anything like that until maybe a couple of days later where I'll put it up on YouTube for everybody to watch. But I do have, let's see here. I actually have director David Lemon coming on. And he directed a film called Publish or Perish. It's a dark comedy that Dawn and I reviewed yesterday, and we laughed our asses off at this film. The film is funny. It's being played at other film festivals right now. It's going to be available on Amazon and Vudu and everything else on August 18th. So go ahead and check that out at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And that's pretty much everything that's going on over here at Movie Unite. And always until next time, guys, have a great and safe night. Thank you so much, Tamika, for always joining me. I do appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Right. So we're going to be out just like Josh Hartnett and Cliff. So let's go ahead and let's end it.